wanted to be a cricketer, right? The thrill of smashing a six or bowling a 130 plus kilometer per hour bouncer sounds far more exciting than a desk job. Your colleague might have dreamed of being a badminton star or perhaps a swimming sensation. The guy you play squash with seems good enough to be professional if he had just given himself more time. Now, we all aspire to be sports people in different domains, but reality often has other plans. Hello, and welcome back to Analytics Insight podcast, where we decode innovation, technology, and the tools that are reshaping the way we live, play, and compete. However, the casual sporting scene and sporting culture in India are fast changing. Innovative sports tech brands are subtly revolutionizing how we experience and engage with sports, making it more accessible and enjoyable for everyone. By leveraging artificial intelligence and other cutting edge technologies, these brands are creating a new era where the line between professional and amateur sports is increasingly blurred. Today's episode is especially exciting for all the sports enthusiasts out there. Whether you're a casual fan placing a weekend bet or a die-hard follower analyzing matchups and stats, there's a quiet revolution taking place powered by AI. Joining us today is William Mabra, founder of ATSWins. Hi, William, how are you doing?
Hey, Priya, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Great. It's a pleasure to have you with us on a podcast today, William. And definitely, this discussion that probably we'll be having seems to be a very exciting one, especially for all the sports diehard fans out there. So before we, talk about the role of technology and how it is changing sports viewership and how we are enjoying sports today, or how online betting is being changed today, let's talk more about ATS wins. Let's kickstart the foundation of a discussion by telling our listeners more about ATS wins, its specialization, and anything specific that you would want to highlight about the organization.
Okay, sure. ATSWins is a platform that helps sports bettors with predictions, and it's based on analytical data, statistics, historical data, trends, and all these different things. And our system actually does it by sport. And right now, at the moment, we're mostly focused on North American sports, but we also are adding soccer and some other worldwide sports actually this month. But really what people do is they like to use our website prior to placing a bet just to see if they can increase the probability or the odds of them winning that bet based on the information that we provide.
Great, pretty interesting, and especially when we talk about sports prediction, I think that's a pretty new vertical that we'll be talking about today in our podcast episode today. And thank you for setting the stage so clearly. I'm always happy and glad to see how companies like ATS Wins are, carving out unique spaces within the industry, and how probably we are solving real world challenges through innovation and specialization. Moving
Mhm.
ahead, so William, you have helped countless businesses across all niches and countries, and achieve their marketing goals and milestones with a tried and a true skill set and relevant experience that you have acquired during the course of these projects. So, could you tell us more about yourself? How has the journey been till date? What triggered the birth of ATS Wins, and what exactly is your role at ATS Wins?
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, ATSWins, honestly, it's a passion project for me. I've been in the sports betting or around the sports betting industry for probably more than 25 years. There were some times where I was very serious with it, and there was some time where I was more just a recreational type of bettor. But I've been around the online marketing space since around 2004, so about 21 years. I kind of cut my teeth on the SEO business. And going through that, I started working with a lot of websites that are called SaaS, or software as a service. And that gave me the idea to do ATS Wins. And so in late 2022, early 2023, I started coming up with the idea. I hired a programmer, I hired a marketing guy, and here we are about a little over a year after we launched. We launched actually officially in 2024, actually in February 2024. So we're about almost a year and a half in, and now we're at about 1,300 subscribers. And we also have free and paid subscriptions. But my role in the company, basically, I'm the founder. I'm the one that came up with the idea. I kind of executed everything, put everything together. And the reason why I did this was because all of the other prediction sites that I had been using they all had some affiliation with the sports books. And they also were always, they have their AI type predictions or their computer driven predictions, but they would always try to push you towards a human, what they call human sports handicappers, where these guys will make predictions and they will sell you their predictions. So I want to make a website that completely took the human element out of it, completely took emotion out of it, and relied heavily and only on artificial intelligence driven insights. So that's kind of what we've done here, and that's the direction we're going. And I might just add that one thing that does make us different is you'll notice on our website, we don't have any banner ads for sports books. We don't have any affiliations. We do not get any commission from any sports book. Our job basically is to help people win money from the sports books, which would basically make us kind of an enemy of them. But a lot of these other websites, you'll see that they do have affiliations, meaning, if somebody signs up with their affiliate link, they're going to get a portion of those people's losses. That's how it works. So I wanted to make sure that everybody knew our website's AI driven, no human element. And lastly, all of the money that we get comes from subscriptions only. We do not get any advertising from sports books or any human handicappers or any other, non-ATSWins type websites.
Great. Thank you for giving that a detailed overview. And, it really shows how leadership in today's environment is multidimensional, especially when you're building something as dynamic and transformative as, ATS wins. So let's zoom out a bit to understand the broader landscape you're operating in. AI in sports prediction isn't about robots calling plays. It's about harvesting vast amounts of data, player stats, weather conditions, injuries, betting lines, historical trends, and more, and analyzing them in real time to predict outcomes with a high degree of accuracy. So it's like having a seasoned analyst who never sleeps, doesn't get emotional, and constantly learns from everyday play and every game. So, how do you think AI has fundamentally changed the landscape of sports data analytics and prediction?
Well, to be honest, it's made everything a lot faster and in a lot of ways easier because, like I said, 20 years ago, yes, we had internet, yes, we had sports betting, but you would have to maybe go to 3 or 4 different websites. You'd have to, you'd check one website for injuries, another website for something else, and so it would maybe take you maybe 20, 30 minutes, to hone in on one game and really, handicap that one game. Whereas now you can do multiple games at the same time to kind of hone in on the very best, the games where our system would see that you have some sort of an edge, and everything's been compressed. Now, you're able to do things that took 20, 30 minutes now, maybe in 5 minutes. So yes, I would say the AI has changed the landscape quite a bit when it comes to sports analytics, sports betting, and basically anything to do with data, historical trends, things like that, that have to do with sporting events.
Great, and I think with that, it really shows how layered and nuanced these models are. I mean, it's not just the numbers. I think it's the context. So, what I find fascinating is how AI brings all of these fragmented data points together into a very cohesive and adaptive prediction engine. Moving ahead, you mentioned about sports betting, and you've always wanted to do something into it. So talking about it, I think live betting has experienced a remarkable surge as AI-driven tools have enabled sportsbook to process vast amount of real-time data. Now, according to a report from Optimove, analysis of around 3.8 million players, it shows that 54% of global bets are now placed in play, with peaks reaching 70% in Greece, 57% in Italy, 55 in Spain, and 34 in the UK. So the global sports betting industry is a multi-billion dollar market today. So in what ways do you think AI is giving sportsbook a competitive edge, and how are bettors fighting back with their own models?
Well, you got to understand something, Priya. From a sports book's point of view, the sports books, their job is to make money, obviously. And so when they use their AI tools and their analytics and they set their lines, they set their odds, what they're trying to do is get balanced action, meaning the same number of bets for the favorite and the same number of bets for the underdog. Okay, because obviously they charge a commission. Some people call it vig, some people call it juice, but usually you're betting, maybe you're risking $110, and if you win that bet, you'll win $100. So see, the sports book keeps that other $10, right? So their AI tools and the way they do things is really more looked at, how they're going to balance this action so that they can make money and they can make a profit. And you also have to remember that the sports books are offering odds and lines on every single game and every single sport. Whereas a sports bettor, our job on the other end is to find games where we feel we have an edge. And so your typical sports bettor, especially your very serious sports bettors, guys that, do this for an income, they're wanting to hone in on maybe one to possibly 3 or 4 games maximum per day where they feel they have a statistical edge. So the AI data driven tools that we use are kind of looking at things slightly differently than how the sports books and casinos look at it. Because, when you really think about it, when you place a bet with a sports book, you're not really competing against the sports book. Who you're competing against are the other bettors, the other people that are betting on the other side of that game. So when you understand how that works, you understand that it's a very different mindset, what they're looking at, what the sports books are trying to do versus what an individual bettor, whether it be a recreational bettor or a professional bettor, is trying to do. But yes, there are AI tools on both sides. It's a constant cat and mouse game, of course. And, the goal in the end is to make money. So if you can find games where you feel as a sports bettor that you have a statistical edge based on AI, based on trends, based on historical data, these are the games that you want to actually risk your money on. Whereas, again, the sports books, they're taking action on every game and trying to get equal action on both sides. So a little bit of difference there, but yes, both the sports book and the bettors on both sides are using these types of tools.
Right, that was a very insightful breakdown, and it highlights, how much the game has changed on both sides of the betting table. And I think it's no longer about one side having all the power. I think with the democratization of data and AI tools becoming more accessible, I think bettors, especially the more analytical ones, are closing the gap, and that dynamic tension is pushing the whole industry forward. And ultimately, I think what we are seeing is a transformation in how bets are played and decisions are made. So I think it's no longer hype based or something that you're making a decisions on your gut or an emotion driven decision. It's more about precision or probability and patterns. And I think that's a trend that we are going to see getting accelerated from here. So let's keep exploring that evolution as we move ahead. I mean, while the potential of AI in sports betting is great, and it's important to think also about the ethical issues and challenges that come with it. Now, one major concern is that AI might create an uneven playing field where those with access to advanced technology have a bigger advantage over others. So I think this could lead to greater differences between casual bettors and those who can afford to invest in AI powered platforms. So, do you see AI completely taking over sports prediction, or will the human intuition of bettors or analysts still play a key role?
I think there's still going to be a human element, at least for some time. You know, AI is great, okay, and it does speed things up, and it helps us retrieve information at a blinding speed like we've never seen before, and it's very helpful. We have to keep in mind something: AI is still very, very young, and AI still cannot think for itself. Basically, when you talk to an AI or you use ATSWins or any of these data-driven AI websites, you're basically just asking it to pull up information and present it to you. You're not really asking it to think because none of these AIs can really think yet. When we get to a point where the AI can actually think independently and make data-driven decisions as a human would, or maybe better than a human, at that point, I think you might see very similar to what you see maybe in the stock market or crypto, where people will set up trading bots, and maybe they will set up a sports prediction bot where the bot will actually go and scan all the games and look for everything and find and you would connect this bot to your sports betting account, right? And then it would actually be placing these bets for you on your behalf using your account. I do see that maybe coming down the road, but I still think we're a few years away from that, maybe 3 to 5 years away from that, but we'll see.
Right, and I think I mean I agree with you, and you have shared a very important perspective that while AI is taking over the sports betting industry, and we are seeing new patterns, but human element will still be there, and like you said, AI cannot think for itself. So I think we will need a balance of both, where we have AI to cut through the noise and bias, but also knowing when to trust a hunch, read a storyline, or factor in the human side of the sports. And I think, that's where platforms like ATSWins are finding the sweet spot, not trying to replace a fan, but I think equipping them with more smarter tools to think more like, analysts without losing the thrill of the game. Moving ahead, with AI, I think, we all know that AI can process information at a speed and scales that humans cannot match. So, but I think AI-driven, predictive models are transforming sports betting picks by, analyzing data sets. So it includes real-time sports events, historical data, player stats, external conditions, and all of this combined together, it provides more accurate sports prediction. So these models don't just forecast outcomes, they power dynamic odd adjustments that respond instantly to game developments. So how important is infrastructure like cloud computing, edge analytics, and real-time feeds in powering a platform's performance?
It's the most important thing for us. A lot of our data, we're pulling data from, websites such as ESPN. We're pulling data from other sports related websites. And then, we've built our own AI models by sport for each sport. But we do a lot of scraping of data to compile all this together. So yeah, it's very, very important. We really can't have any downtime because sports is something that goes every single day. Every single day there's a sporting event. Like right now we've got Major League Baseball going on. Pretty soon, NFL football and college football, and they'll start again. So it's pretty much a continuous, 365 day a year thing where there's always some sporting event that's going on where people are going to be looking for predictions and going to be making bets on that event. So we've done a lot. Like a couple of weeks ago, we had a problem with security. Somebody was trying to do a denial of service attack, which does happen. So we had to revamp our security system, which we have done now, and we haven't had any problems since then. But a lot of these things that you have to consider, not just having a connection, but having a connection that works, is fast, and is secure. And yes, we connect to more websites than I can tell you to compile all this information and present it to our subscribers, what they see on the screen from ATSWins.
Definitely, and I think that paints a very clear picture of how foundational infrastructure is important. I mean, when we talk about cloud computing or edge analytics, I think these are not just technical buzzwords, but I think they are kind of becoming the backbone that enables a speed, scale, and reliability. And I think, and for the end user as well, if you talk about, this translates into more smoother experiences, faster responses, and I think more accurate results. So something that's kind of becoming non-negotiable in today's hyper-competitive landscape. I think moving ahead, when we're talking about, I mean, we spoke about some of the challenges that come up in terms of being using AI in a very competitive advantage, like the sports betting thing. So I wanted to touch down on some of the ethical concerns, like what kind of, how do you ensure data privacy and data security at ATS wins, considering, we are playing with a lot of data here. So, do you really need a very a stringent or a rigid data privacy and security policy, or a basic strategy works out at ATS wins?
What we have in place right now is pretty basic, but the user's data is always 100% protected. And as I said, we are not affiliated with any other sports book or any place, so we really have no need to sell the data or to share the data, or I mean, it's not to our advantage to do that. And obviously, more importantly, our users probably do not want their data shared. So we have password protection in place. We have two-factor authorization in place. We have some other things, but no, we keep the data. We keep it secure. We keep it safe, and we do not share the data with anybody else. Only the user data stays within our domain and stays on our server, and it never goes anywhere else.
Right, definitely. That makes sense, William, and I think that's really important as to how you're ensuring the protection of users' data, especially with all the conspiracies that are spiraling up in terms of data privacy and taking consent of users in terms of how you're using their data. So I think as AI gets more advanced, one last question for you, William, is what's the
Sure.
next evolution in sports prediction and betting tech?
Well, I think it's only going to get better. Obviously, like we know that we're still kind of in what a lot of people say is the infancy stage of AI with these language learning models. And again, as we progress further, AI is going to get to a point at some point where it will be able to think and make decisions very much like a human. And I think that's the way that we're headed. And I think that there will be more and more automation in place. Like I said earlier, I think that a sports betting bot. I think that will be a thing in the future where people can plug in and they can choose the sport, they can choose the game, and then out for them, and it will actually go to the sports book and place the bet on their behalf. I think that's the direction that we're headed. But again, we have some growing pains. You saw what happened with ChatGPT when it played a game of chess against an Atari 2600 from 1980. The Atari 2600 from 1980 destroyed ChatGPT in a game of chess. So that tells us that we're still just a little bit, out from autonomous, thinking and being able to do things on your behalf. But I do believe that's where we're headed in the next, say, 5 years.
Great, definitely. And I think the role of AI in sports analytics is set to grow even further as technology advances. And future developments may include more sophisticated algorithms, enhanced data collection methods, and deeper integration with other technologies like probably virtual reality and augmented reality. So I think as AI continues to evolve, its impact on predicting analytics in sports will become even more profound. So thank you so much, William, for taking out the time and effort to be on a podcast today and helping us understand that AI is the new MVP and it's not here to take the fun out of sports. It's here to make it smarter, sharper, and more rewarding. And of course, with platforms like ATSWins setting a higher standard for transparency, I think bettors and fans will have the tools to stop gambling and rather focusing on strategizing. So thank you so much for coming on our podcast today, William. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thanks, Priya. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me again.
Great. Thank you so much. So this is for our listeners. That's a wrap for today's episode of Analytics Inside. And if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, share, and don't forget to check out ATS Wins to experience AI-powered sports picks firsthand. Until next time, stay curious, play smart, and let the data do the talking. And I will see you soon. You can view all our previous podcasts on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.